Okay, wait 1 second. I have to think about what I have to say.
Action. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, what's up friends? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special guest with me, my host mother, and we're gonna create a video together because I've asked on my Instagram page what kind of questions I could ask my host mother so that you can see the au pair life from a different perspective. So I would say I let my host mother introduce herself a little bit so you can get to know her, and then we can start with those questions.
Hi, my name is Katie Allen. I'm 38. I have hosted 7 host daughters. We did have 1 random foreign exchange student before we started. So Becky is number 7, but she's our 6th au pair that we've hosted. It's an adventure and we love doing it. It's just something we're really passionate about, is we just keep on expanding our family. We have 1 natural born kiddo and his name is Henry, and he's just turned 5 this week. So anyway, so yes, I basically feel like I have 8 children, even though I've only given birth to 1.
Okay, so I have the questions right here, and I'm just gonna start with the first question. So, okay, the first question for you is, why did you decide to have au pairs?
Well, so we did have a foreign exchange student, and for us it was a great experience. We really loved the cultural exchange part of having an au pair. So I think when we were looking at childcare options, for us it was just something we were really comfortable with. So I think it's fun having someone in your home to learn about their culture. It takes a little bit getting used to for the host family and also the au pair. So I feel like it was just a great fit for us because we already felt comfortable with that experience. And I think sometimes you just have to understand that it's a journey for both the host family and the au pair. But for us, we were really excited about hosting again. So I think I could probably answer that question on a whole lot longer. I'm not really good at bullet points, but for us, the fit just made sense immediately because we were already used to having someone in our home.
Okay, so the next question is, how did you feel to welcome a new person into your life, and were you ever nervous?
I think maybe it's an American thing, maybe it's a Southern thing, but sometimes our family style is we like to fill the silence. So I think when you're meeting a new au pair, sometimes it's hard because it can be tiring to be speaking in another language, especially if it's a language you're not really used to. It's different learning it in school than being like surrounded with it all day. So sometimes there can be a quietness because it's just tiring and so it's not a personal thing. So I think that was something getting used to, is just because our new family member that we're welcoming in is quiet doesn't mean that they don't want to make conversation or anything like that. So we fill in the quiet a lot with just our style, but I think just getting used to that at the beginning, that can make you nervous if you're just not sure, because sometimes if someone's quiet, for us it feels like, oh, they don't like you, or they're uncomfortable or they're nervous. So I think just being okay with silence at the beginning, that's just a good tip, is for both sides, that sometimes when someone's not speaking, it doesn't mean anything, as far as, you don't have to take offense to it. Sometimes it's just nice to be quiet.
So the next question is a funny one. You look so incredibly young. What is the secret?
Oh, I do not follow any of the instructions like you're supposed to. I think I don't tend to focus on worrying much. And so I think my faith, I think I really feel that having just Christ living in me, that is the source of my joy, and doesn't mean that my life is without its problems or hardships. But there's a completely different experience having joy in your heart versus being happy all the time. I am not happy all the time, but because of Christ living in me, I have joy in my life. So I think focusing on that helps me not focus on the stresses and worries as much. And so I think that really brings just fulfillment and youthfulness to my life. So, but no, I don't have like any beauty products that I use. I'm very terrible about any beauty regimens or anything like that. So, yeah, drinking water is a good habit that I used to have, and I would love to get back into that. But I don't drink sodas, actually. I don't really drink very many sodas. I drink coffee every day.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons of having a nanny or an au pair? Like, why don't you choose to have an au pair? Oh, I mean, like a nanny and not.
You know, I think that that's a good question, because that's something that host families really debate a lot, is whether or not they want a nanny or an au pair, and they're just different experiences. We did one time really think about straying away and having a nanny, and we're just so, it's just our comfort zone is we really want to be close with our au pair, and we really want to be close with our child care. And I just think that nannies are great, but sometimes you miss that closeness because, you know, as they're leaving, you know, there's not as many much opportunities for overlap, and you can still miss that closeness with having an au pair. So I think that having like meals together, you know, like when your day is done and you're leaving, you know, if we never had any other interactions other than just like the first 15 minutes of like as I'm walking out the door heading to work, or as soon as Sean's getting home, if those, you know, 15 minutes at the beginning and 15 minutes at the end were the only interaction we ever had, it would be hard for us to be on the same page. So I think it's nice that we have family dinners, and sometimes there are days where, you know, it may be a scheduled day, but I'm hanging out with you and we're going exploring. That was so much fun. We went explored Sparta the other day. So I think those moments, like, I think it's a little give and take, where you might be scheduled, but I'm with you, so it's nice where you don't feel like you're by yourself. And there's days that you're not scheduled, but you're hanging out with us, you know, watching a movie, or like, you know, playing a game with Henry. And so I think that those moments of give and take really help just help us both be on the same page. And I feel like that's the closeness that you can get with having an au pair compared to a nanny, that it's just harder to have with a nanny experience. Sometimes nannies have more life experience. Sometimes they've raised 3 or 4 kids, you know, and they may be, you know, a little bit, you know, older or wiser or things like that. But that doesn't mean that au pairs don't come with experience either. But I think even if an au pair may not have like years and years of experience of raising a child completely, man, the youthfulness is so much fun. I mean, you help me have just a vivaciousness of, hey, let's go explore, or, you know, just the experience of seeing things for the first time, whether it's with Henry or with you. It's just so neat to, like, I mean, we got to take you to Disney World, and so I had just as much joy seeing you see Disney with your eyes for the first time as I did with Henry. And so, you know, if you have somebody that's, you know, 45 or 50 and they've already experienced so much in life, you don't really get to show them and have that hosting experience of, hey, you know, have you ever tried this restaurant in town? Well, if they live in your same hometown, yes, they've been to that restaurant before. So sometimes it doesn't have to be an elaborate experience for a host family to, you know, share with their au pair. I remember, you know, it kind of seems like it's a tradition now. Your first Walmart experience, like when we have, you know, a new host daughter come into our lives. It's, hey, we're going to Walmart for the first time, and that, you know, is a different perspective. That's an enjoyable experience to have, and an easy experience to have that you just don't have with a nanny.
And always differently, you know, because everybody comes from a different place. So I think it's really cool to learn from each other too, because you have like 5 different au pairs. You had 6 different au pairs from different countries. So I think it's, you know, it's really cool to experience that in a different way.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, what is the most important thing you look for in an au pair?
That seems like a very full question with lots of answers to it. And I think it probably depends on the year, because sometimes with Henry, like, you know, what we were looking for with an au pair, like when he was a baby, because we've been hosting ever since I came back from maternity leave. You know, that was something where, you know, Veronica had to really be okay to, you know, be following a newborn schedule, where they, it's every 2 hours they're eating and they're taking 3 naps a day. And so being able to, keep that schedule, I think that you kind of look for personalities, as far as it doesn't necessarily mean a certain country, but just sometimes just, how, what, are you a type A personality, or not, on certain times of life that we need structure. Or sometimes we may not need less structure and more time to play and be outdoors and things like that. So I think, matching the personality to the type of structure we need depending on Henry's life stage. And then also for us specifically as a host family, someone who shares our values and our faith has been really important too. Not all host families are looking for that, and that's okay too. You got to have a match for that. So that's something that sometimes I feel like there's a typical, like, you don't want to always look for just the location for a host family. So you just want to see, like, can you jive together? It's kind of like dating,
Yeah, it is. It is.
Do you get each other? So I guess I look for chemistry too. Mm-hmm. I look for, is it somebody that, we can joke together? You get my jokes. I love you for that. But yeah, I think.
You get my jokes.
Yeah. So I think you look for chemistry.
Yeah.
You look for someone
Yep.
that can you enjoy being with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question is COVID-19 changing your pair expectations a lot?
So I think it did change our expectations. I think that just because we're Becky's going through it just like we are, and so I think it's important for family members to have a little bit more grace for each other. And so I know that I just have really wanted to for us all to have a little bit more wiggle room with each other and just to be able to have some more time for just relaxing. So I think, at the beginning, when it really hit us hard, we decreased our hours a little bit, and we just really wanted to kind of just like, I don't know, just, I think it was good for us all to kind of find our new pace with that. So, like, when you're running a race, and so we, before COVID, this was our pace, and then we just kind of had to slow down and kind of figure out where our new pace was, where our new rhythm to our lives were.
Like to find a structure.
Yeah, to find our structure and just to kind of find our patterns again. And so I think I think that was kind of helpful for Sean to be home a little bit more and everything, and I took some time off of work, and I feel like right now it's just almost like every week is a new pattern, and so I think that's just kind of been part of our expectations. But we're kind of spending more time together, but also I think too, there were some times where Henry was really pushing back, and because kids deal with COVID, they do, and sometimes it's like we want these kids to just fall in line and do video long distance learning and the Zoom meetings and all that stuff, and to just take it without being upset about it. So I think that just there were some days it's like, if your au pair is tired and has had a very long day, it is not an insult or anything for them just to like close the door and like just have some time, because it's important. It's important for us all to have time to just kind of self-care, whether you just take a shower and scream in the shower if you need to, and so I think just having extra time for each other and things like that. But we also started cooking together more, so, which is good, because I feel like we're eating better right now. So less fast food and more time at, eating food we've cooked at home. And I can see it probably be really impactful, though, for families when they're not used to their au pair being at home at all. Especially really, like, au pairs that are really, like, as soon as their shift is over with, they're out the door. Maybe they're working out at the gym. Maybe they're, like, really actively involved in some other stuff. And so I think that it really depends on what their pace was before. But, it's kind of like like when a couple is married and like one of the spouses retire, and all of a sudden the retired spouse is home more often, and you kind of have to get to know each other in a different way. So I can see that would be impactful for some families, for them to get to know each other in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next question is, what was the funniest or your favorite moment that you had together with me?
My favorite moment. Well, I mentioned Disney. That was, I mean,
well,
Disney's
Disney.
Magical. I mean, like, yeah, like, no.
That would be also magical without me, so.
No, I mean, but you made it magical.
Aww.
Especially whenever you would scream on rides, like when we went and rode soaring, and you were so expressive, and I was just like, shh, don't be so expressive on the ride, you'll scare Henry. No, but, yeah.
I was Henry or something.
Yeah, you know, it was really neat to see Niagara Falls together. That was really neat to do Niagara Falls and to do the Maid in the Mist and go on the boat ride and everything. I think too, like, one thing that's really just touched me about your heart is whether it's a big trip or a small trip. I mean, I mentioned 2 big trips, but I think just how much you appreciate. And so it's really fun to be with somebody who appreciates you.
Aww.
And so I just love that. Like, I just feel like, yeah. So, I mean, those are, you know, the other 2 examples are just ones that I can just be like, you know, can pinpoint. Sometimes it's just the small things. I don't know. I think really getting to watch you sing when you were in singing at the worship team at our church, and just getting to see you do something you're passionate about, and you know, I was really proud. It was really a wonderful moment to just see you doing that. So sometimes it's the small stuff that doesn't cost any money, but just, I don't know, just getting to see you shine, which is, I guess, part of where I feel like, you know, sometimes I feel like our ages are close enough where I'm like your aunt or your cousin or something like that.
But that's what I really appreciate about you too, like, you just enjoy to see me enjoying, and you know that when I enjoy to see you enjoying things, and I think that, you know, it's really beautiful to see, like, somebody cares about you, even you are not.
Yeah, we're not blood related.
Yeah, you're not blood related, and I don't know, I think that's really beautiful. But okay, and like for me, I just wanted to mention my funniest part was definitely the safari park.
Oh, wasn't that fun? Oh my, those animals are crazy.
So, but anybody who knows,
it's outside of Jackson. Jackson, Tennessee is close to where it's at. I think the town's called Alamo, Tennessee.
Well, anybody who is there, oh my goodness, you have to go, because that was so cool. It was so spontaneous, but it was literally the best part.
And I guess the other question earlier is, what do we look for in an au pair? And I love to be spontaneous, and I love someone that is willing to be spontaneous with me. So, like, that particular day, like, we had already picked up Henry, and we had already driven, like, 3 hours to go pick him up. And so, was it maybe the most, like, practical thing to do? Probably not. But, you know, sometimes it's just fun to, like... And it, you know, we kind of knew it was going to be a long day. In fact, I think we got home at like 11.
I think afterwards we went shopping. So
we did go shopping too. Yeah.
You know, just being flexible and saying, okay, you know, what can we do? Where can we have fun? I think that makes it so much more fun.
And I love to road trip. I mean, like it's been something I've done before with our other au pairs as well as to road trip. But I think you learn a lot about each other when you road trip.
Yeah.
And I think, too, just to be able to communicate, because let's say you had like, a bad headache or something, and I was like, hey, let's go do this, and you had, like, a migraine or a bad headache, and you didn't say that, and you were miserable, and I'm all like, isn't this fun? And you're like, no, this is awful. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think sometimes, like, just feeling comfortable with each other that, you know, hey, let's go do something fun together. And, you know, you said yes, but you said yes because you really wanted to say yes, you know, and like, you know, and so I think that it would be wonderful to paint that we get to do that kind of stuff all the time, but sometimes we don't get to do stuff like that all the time. But, you know, just making small day trips too, because we went to Sparta the other day, and that was a little bit longer day than we expected, but we got to go to the coffee shop, and we took turns clothing shopping, leaving Henry in the car, because who wants to bring a 5-year-old boy with you when you're shopping? But we still wanted to get our shopping on, so like we took turns, sitting in the car with him while he was watching a movie. But so yeah, that was so much fun with that. But yeah, I think, and then even like when we went shopping later, I think we had like 3 places we wanted to go shopping, and I think we narrowed it down to 2, and we only went to 2 of the places. I think at World Market and maybe Target.
Yeah.
Yeah, Target runs. See, that would be a good thing that like au pairs and their host moms could do as a bonding thing, is just go on a Target run. It doesn't have to be fancy, but man, if you're ever in Jackson, do the safari park.
On a Black Friday. Always on Black Fridays.
Yes, that's another tradition, Black Friday shopping.
Yeah.
Now that is one
But that's a tradition, like for every au pair who lives with his family, Black Friday you have to be up until 3 in the morning.
And I was just saying that if you have a headache, be honest. But I will say that I've had so many au pairs that have said, I do not want to be going shopping at 10:30 at night. You're crazy, Katie. And I've said, no, you have to go with me. And, and after the first hour, it's like after that first power hour,
I
you're
just
ready.
appreciate you, and I said thank you so much for waking me up, because I think every au pair experienced that, right? Like everybody didn't want to go, and no, you live in a talk, you don't want to go shopping. You're just tired, you want to sleep, and you're just like,
you hit the Starbucks and you keep going.
Yeah, and afterwards to say thank you for that. For spending $200.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't make you spend $200, but it's Black Friday. You kind of have to plan ahead.
Yeah.
And those are some great shoes you found.
Okay, so the next question is, how do you tell a family that they are not the right family for an au pair?
Well,
like if you would be an au pair, how would you say that?
I think just being honest. So some families just don't want to be like strung along, because they're trying to make decisions and stuff too. So I think making a well-informed, balanced decision is important. So I know sometimes, like when in the matching process, sometimes they'll say, hey, where the family lives, they won't talk to a family, and I feel like sometimes families in small towns need a chance to be looked at and heard, because sometimes the best experiences aren't going to be in a town you've ever heard of. And there are lots of towns and cities in America, and so you may not know where North Carolina is, but now you know where North Carolina is. So so I feel like just sometimes it's hard to judge a country if you've never been there, and so sometimes it's just good to talk to families even if you don't know, if you've never heard of the city that they're from. So but if you really, after talking to them and giving them a chance, and you're like, this doesn't feel good, just be honest. And I would say, be honest and gracious about it. Like I wouldn't, I would just say, hey, I appreciate the time that you spent getting to know me and interviewing, and your family is great. Sometimes it is nice to know, like, why. Because if there's something that glaringly they need to work on their profile, like for instance, if they're saying it's like, that they, I don't know, like, I would say if they say that they're a very active family, but their pictures show that them watching TV all the time, then it may be a little bit of a conflict, and if you're an au pair looking for a very, family that's really active and, outdoors a lot, or very fit, and get into sports and stuff. So sometimes if you just don't, see that, or you could just be like, hey, I was looking for, older school-age children. Sometimes too, I will say that we've had some au pairs that we've interviewed with, and they're like, oh, you only have 1 kid? I was really hoping to like be an au pair for like 3 or 4 kids.
That was me.
So 1 kid can be just as busy. Or if not more so.
Yeah, so true.
So, and also too, there's other experiences that, about that you can still get to know other kids. Like, for instance, we've got some friends from Nashville, and they've got 5 children, 4 girls and a boy, and they love Becky. And so it's kind of like your other family that, that you've gotten to get to know and stuff. So I feel like just because you may only have 1 host kid doesn't mean that you won't ever meet any other kids. And they may have little friends over and stuff like that, so you'll still get to meet, And also, if you do, like, play dates with other au pairs, if your host family allows that, well, then you may get to know their kids, too. So, yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, what do you think about the fact that Becky has to leave at the end of the program? And I think, like, not only me, I think that was for every au pair that had to leave, you know, in the past. Like, how was it for you, or what do you think about that?
It is hard. And I've had even people say that they don't want to host because they don't want to deal with that emotional aspect of it.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of au pairs, too, like, saying, I don't want to stay another year because it might
be harder.
It might be harder.
And there's a saying that says, better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the very first time that I hosted, I remember I had an experience where I was crying in the shower, and I was just thinking, I just met this girl, and I'm going to have to say goodbye to her in a year, and I can't believe, like, that my heart has been opened so much, and I can't believe I've gotten so attached. And that was our first host daughter, Frauke. And we got to go to her Abitur, her graduation later on. And I think that, you know, with any long-distance relationship, you just, if you care, you keep on reaching out, and you keep on staying connected and everything. And, you know, so we've stayed connected with all of our previous host daughters, and just really just, you know, do we talk every week to them? No. But do we still keep track, you know, and say hi? Yes, we do. I think because I've had it happen so many times and I've stayed connected, I'm not afraid of you leaving. Will I be absolutely sad? Yes. I will be very heartbroken, and I'll probably be really moody. And it's always awful, like the week after we have someone leave, because Henry is awful because he doesn't know how to deal. And so then he's just like, just awful. So the dread of the week after is hard. I think to me, because I know that time is precious, that it just motivates me to try to remember to make as many moments with you as possible while you're here, because there's just something about being with somebody in person.
Mm-hmm.
It's because then you can just be together. You know, like, you and I can be watching a movie together, or, you know, you can be doing something and I can be doing something that's completely unrelated, but we're just together, and just that presence of being together, you miss that. You do. And sometimes, and that's just something that video chatting and texting and emailing, it just can't replace. So you just try to have as many of those moments as possible, and just hold on to them and try to appreciate them. And I think that's what also drives me to continue to have those spontaneous moments of just those memories of having fun together, because it's very precious.
The sun was in Katie's face, so we got to start from the beginning.
I was glowing. It's all that youthful, like, beauty products.
Okay. So the last question was, how did you keep in contact with your au pairs, and how would you like your au pair to stay in contact with you?
So I think what's important too is to be intentional. So life gets busy, and so sometimes it's just hard to remember to stay in contact. I like video chatting a lot because I'm just more of I like to be like real time with people. And so I love video chatting, and also especially for like the host kids, because like as an au pair, sometimes it's hard when you see your host kid changing and different, and sometimes it's kind of like, you know, what you could talk to them about previously, you kind of have to change how you talk to them later on.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, you know, be able to take the time, just little bits at a time here and there, will help the relationship continue to grow, so it's not so awkward later on. So, so I think, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, a lot. Sometimes it's hard too if you haven't talked in a while, and then it's almost like you want like a recap, like, okay, what's life been like for you lately? And if you haven't had anything big happen lately, you're kind of like, well, I'm just going to school, going to work, you know, and then it's kind of a boring conversation, and it's almost like you're waiting for something exciting to talk about. So I think, you know, sharing memes or sharing articles or just kind of like sharing pictures, those are good ways to just stay in contact without having the pressure that the conversation has to be a long conversation or like a very like, you know, a big announcement conversation or anything like that. So I think the holidays are a good time too, you know, sending out Christmas cards or sending, you know, well wishes for birthdays or other good ways to stay connected. But you know, whether it's a weekly or monthly basis, just making it intentional.
Yeah.
So, and my expectations is I would love to visit you. So that would be really fun. I have some other trips from our previous like au pairs that I, you know, are still on our to do. So I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna save a lot of money, and I'd love it to either be like a, you know, European, you know, tour, and we go to Austria and Italy and Germany and see how much. But I just want to make sure that we have enough time to really just do the hanging out part. You know, not just the sightseeing, but I just want to just like, you know, having dinner together and getting to spend time with your family. And, you know, so I want to make sure that we don't make the trips too packed. And also, you know, welcoming back too, so that it would be great to have a tourist visa, you know, and be able to come back. That would be awesome. So our home is always, you know, open for, you know, visits and everything like that. But anyway. Yeah, it's not goodbye. It's just, you know.
I see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also so beautiful to see, like seeing you having contact with the other au pairs, like seeing you keep building relationships even when they're not here. No, I'm not afraid to think that I will never see you again, because I see that you are putting so much effort in the other au pairs too, and I hope in me too.
Yes, yes.
But I'm just, you know, I'm just happy to know that you put effort in it, and I will do it too. And yeah. Alright, so that was the end of our video. That was fun and I enjoyed it.
Our challenge to them would be, what other questions do you have, right?
Yep.
So,
right.
Yeah.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. We are really happy to, we were super happy to make this video for you, and I can't wait to make another video for you guys. And if you want to have a part 2 or 3, then let us know and we will make that happen.
Yep.
Alright. See you. Bye.